Good evening, Daytona Beach, and welcome to one and all to the, what's today's date?
October
June-
20th.
I'm about to go back to June, October 20th, 2021, regularly scheduled City Commission meeting. We're delighted to have each of you with us this evening. At this time, I'm going to ask that Ms. LaMagna review the procedures for tonight's meeting.
Good evening. Agendas are available on the table in the lobby and at the front of the commission chambers. All of the exhibits pertaining to items on the agenda are posted in the lobby. Please feel free to view the exhibits at any time during tonight's meeting. You are required to fill out a yellow form to speak before the City Commission on topics on the agenda. Forms are available on the table in the lobby and at the front of the commission chambers. You must complete the sections that ask for your name, address, agenda item number, signature, and date. The form must be completed and placed in the designated box. Item number 7 is your opportunity to address the City Commission concerning any item on the consent agenda. Please indicate on the yellow speaker sheet the agenda item number of the item or items that you are addressing. Items or discussions not listed on the consent agenda will not be heard during this comment section. Agenda items under item number 9 are public hearings, and citizens may speak at the designated time. Speakers will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. When you approach the lectern, please speak clearly into the microphone and give your full name and address. The 3-minute clock on the monitor above the dais will start running when you begin to speak. Pay close attention to your time. You will be told when your time has expired. Item number 12 is the public comment forum, and this is the opportunity for the public to speak on any issue or topic that is not on the agenda. All citizens completing the green form will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. When you approach the lectern, please give your full name and address. Disorderly conduct in the public meeting of the City Commission. Article 2, Section 6238 of the City Code of Ordinances reads as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person to behave in a riotous or disorderly manner in any public meeting of the City Commission or any committee, agency, or board thereof, or to cause any unnecessary disturbances therein by force, shouting, or any other action that is calculated to disrupt such meeting, or to refuse to obey any ruling of the presiding officer or such meeting relative to the orderly process thereof. Please be courteous and respectful of the views of others. Personal attacks on the City Commission, city staff, or members of the public are not allowed. Please silence cell phones and other wireless devices during the meeting. All conversation must take place either at the lectern or on the dais so that everyone can hear the business being discussed tonight.
Ms. LaMagna, may we have a roll call?
Commissioner Reed,
Here.
Commissioner Traeger,
Here.
Commissioner May,
Here.
Commissioner Cantu,
Here.
Commissioner Henry, Mayor Derek L. Henry.
Here. At this time, we will have our roll call, our invocation, led by Commissioner Henry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Reed. Well, can we ask Commissioner Traeger to do that since Commissioner Henry is a little bit under the weather?
Heavenly Father, thank you for the wonderful day, and thank you for the kindness to your people of Daytona Beach, Florida. Please give the Commission the ability and the insight to do what's best for our fellow residents and for our city. Bless our people who work so hard to maintain this city, and bless those who are our safety net, our police, our fire, our veterans. Help us to do what's best for our city and look down upon us. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the September 22nd, 2021 regular City Commission meeting.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Henry and a second from Commissioner Traeger. Do we have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. It's time we will have our agenda approval. If there are any changes, our city manager will read them at this time.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, we do have 2 changes. We're asking to increase Commissioner Cantu's donation amount from $200 to $500 on agenda item 8F, allocation of the Bike Week sponsorship funds, and also as for the continuance of item 9 I, the Daytona Beach LPGA 711 PD agreement rezoning to the January 5th, 2022 City Commission meeting at the request of the applicant that came in this morning.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Traeger, second from Commissioner Reed. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, we'll now move on to item number 6, which is our presentations. Item number 6A is the Beautification Award for October 2021, and a member of the Beautification Tree Advisory Board to report. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Henry, members of the City Commission, and Mr. Feature. My name is Marty Grimshaw. I live at 4 Granville Circle, and I'm a member at large of the Beautification Board. The Beautification and Tree Board Advisory Board has selected Andrew and Rhonda Wen, 2628 South Peninsula Drive, as Residential Beautification Award winners for the month of October 2021. Andrew and Rhonda have been residents of Daytona Beach for 3 years and have resided at this residence since 2019. There was nothing in the yard when they purchased their home. Andrew and Rhonda knew they had to add beauty and nurture nature. They have plans to do more. The neighbors have contributed cuttings that have helped beautify as well. The types of trees and shrubs and plants used for beautification include magnolia tree, sugar maple trees, coconut palm trees, weeping bottle brush, oak trees, and assorted flowers and bushes. City Commissioner Traeger from Zone 1 will be presenting the award. Hello there.
It is my distinct pleasure to award you, as it says, for distinguished achievement, residential beautification, and youth ceremonies. We're so proud to have you in our city, so proud of the work you have done. Thank you. You serve as an example to all of us. You get.
Thank you very much. And Commissioner, and can you guys turn around, or he's going to take a picture?
1, 2, 3.
It's also my pleasure to announce the Commercial Beautification Award winner for the month of October 2021. The property, the Beautification Board has selected the Ocean Jewels Club Condominium Association at 935 South Atlantic Avenue as the commercial award winner. The property is managed by John Clare. The building was originally constructed in 1952 for the purpose of motel hotel. In 1995, a Miami developer converted the motel to a condotel. After Hurricane Matthew, Ocean Jewels Club went through a major renovation. The types of trees and shrubs and plants used for beautification include bird of paradise, various crotons, tricolor shrubs, tropical periwinkle, red sister tie, sable palms, Washingtonian palms, date palms, and lots of grass areas for the guests to enjoy. Mayor Henry will be presenting the award. Mr. Clare? Thank you.
Mr. Clare, we appreciate you and all that you all are doing at Ocean Jewels Club. This certificate of achievement reads, may it be known that this certificate has been presented to Ocean Jewels Club for distinguished achievement in commercial beautification. City of Daytona Beach, Florida, presented this 20th day of October 2021 by myself, signed by myself, Derek L. Henry, your mayor, and your commissioner, Zone 1, Commissioner Ruth Traeger.
You're doing the proclamation.
I have it. Oh, did you? Hang on a second. Would the men from the Delta Chi fraternity at Embry-Riddle please stand? Delta Chi, I'm sorry. Thank you, sister. Okay. This evening, we are pleased to have you all with us, and we want to acknowledge your great work in the community, as well as your scholarship. And we appreciate you as residents, citizens, students, and models of possibility in the city of Daytona Beach. And so as a community, this is in recognition of Embry-Riddle chapter of the Delta Chi fraternity. Whereas the Embry-Riddle chapter of the Delta Chi fraternity was founded almost 50 years ago on March 11th, 1972. And whereas the values instilled by the Delta Chi fraternity include promoting friendship, developing character, advancing justice, and assisting in the acquisition of a sound education by providing a support network around the college experience. And whereas the Delta Chi fraternity house, built in 2016 and located in close proximity to Belleville Road, has adopted the roadway from the Clyde Morris Boulevard intersection west towards I-95. By adopting this stretch of road, fraternity members are committing to helping to keep the roadway free of litter by hosting 4 cleanup events per year. And whereas the Delta Chi fraternity brothers have collectively contributed 180 volunteer service hours this summer, including volunteering 78 hours in the Daytona Beach area by cleaning the boardwalk and volunteering at Habitat for Humanity. Now, I, Derek L. Henry, Mayor of the City of Daytona Beach, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby recognize the members of Embry-Riddle chapter of the Delta Chi fraternity for actively participating in community service, including their notable work volunteering to assist with the cleanup of our city. In witness hereunto I set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Daytona Beach to be affixed this 20th day of October 2021. Having been a college student many, many moons ago, and most of us who were in college, we recall most of what we did when we were not in the books, and it wasn't what you were doing. So what we want to say is sincerely, we appreciate what you're doing and what you're becoming. And if one or all of you would come forward, I'd be happy to present this to you. Thank you. All right. Congratulations. Thank you very kind. All right, right here.
I want one.
You first, and then we'll go
Eraw. By the colors. And they stand for the meeting.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 7, which is citizen comments. During this time, the citizens have the opportunity to address the city commission on any item on the consent agenda. And I have one speaker for the consent agenda, Mr. Frederick Brown.
Oh, great. John's new cousin.
Thank you. Freddie Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. On item 8C, which is what I wanted to talk about, that's the wastewater project. And I don't know if all of the city commissioners and the mayor have actually toured the facility. I had the pleasure of doing that, meeting with the staff. It's a wonderful project. My concern is this seems to be the termination of the project. And we're allocating the $32,000, I believe it is, for finishing the report, which I'm not exactly sure where that came out of the city budget because most of the monies were donated from other organizations. But again, I don't have access to reasons why. My concern is this. It was an excellent project. I don't want to see the city stop it. Sadly, the water was processed. It was found to be superior to all the water, even the tap water. And all it was dumped back into the system. And that was the scope of the project. Again, the citizens don't know this. Those who don't work for the utilities department don't know this. And I would like to hope that the city commission knows what was going on over there. It's a great, great project. I would like to see the city continue to support this and not make this a final. I would like to see this be just the start of something good. If you haven't had a chance to see what they've done down there or review it, by all means, please do. Excellent, excellent work done on the project, and it went very, very well. I also would like to add one thing on the consent agenda from the last meeting, and I know I questioned it in the end. I went back and listened to the video twice and listened to it again to make sure there was no changes. When the motion was, and the reason why I'm saying this, I would like to see clarity by the commission. The mayor, you've done an excellent job of maintaining Robert's Rules of Order despite quite often confusion and heated discussions out here. But when you called for a motion, is there a motion? Ms. Monaga correctly stated, no, there was not. So then you said, well, do we have a motion? And all we heard was Commissioner Henry and Commissioner Reed first and second. Now, if you look back at the meeting minutes, that's not what the meeting minutes stated. So and you ask if there's any questions, all I can do as a citizen raise my hand, but I do have an objection to the minutes as they were read in because that's not what transpired. And the reason I'm saying this is sometimes you make very long discussions on these points, and through all the smoke, we don't know what the actual motion is. And I just, as a citizen, I would like to see clarity so that we understand what you're voting on. It avoids a lot of confusion. Yeah, well, in that particular case, you didn't. Yes. And in that particular case, there was no motion on the floor. And it was cleaned up in the minutes incorrectly. And you just approved that tonight, which I tried to
Those were
object.
the 9:22 minutes that were on the meeting for the last meeting
Okay.
for the 10-6 haven't.
So you haven't approved that yet?
Yes,
Okay.
so that's why they don't match.
Okay, well, and that's fine, but it's still, it's an issue because I did bring it up in the meeting and I went back and double verified there was no motion stated. So that was what my concern was. Again, you've done a great job with Robert's Rules. Just help us citizens out. And sometimes the commissioners thought, what are we voting on? And I've seen that many, many times, so,
So like
This-
rescind the motion.
all right? Keep up with Robert's Rules.
That was my only speaker for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Hearing none, do I have any opposition? I have a motion and a second. My light was not on. To consent, to approve the consent agenda. Do I have any opposition?
And I'm sorry, who was the second?
The motion
Commissioner
was
Cantu.
Commissioner Cantu.
Second.
The second, who was the first?
Traeger.
Traeger, okay, well, Traeger and Cantu. All right. No opposition. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
We're going to move on to item 9, which is our public hearings. Item 9A is the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, 1113 West ISB, Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance adopting a small scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with Chapter 163.3187 Florida statutes, amending the future land use map designation of 1.3 plus or minus acres of property located at 1113 West International Speedway Boulevard on the south side of International Speedway Boulevard across from Daytona State College, immediately east of the Tarragona Shops and immediately west of the Tarragona Arch, from office transition to low-intensity commercial, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I know we have some speakers.
I have
so-
some speakers. I didn't know if you wanted to hear from the applicant first or after the speakers.
Okay, we'll hear from the applicant first.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, my name is Joe Hopkins. I'm an engineer with the Performance Group here in Daytona Beach at 100 Marina Point Drive. We have a companion request. It's the second item on the agenda. And Mr. Mayor, I was wondering if we could hear both of these concurrently because they do fold together. And as part of my presentation, I'd like to cover both items, if that's,
Well, we'll vote on them separately, but
Yes.
you can speak to them both in your presentation.
okay, fair enough. Thank you for having me. I represent the applicant in this case. What I'd like to do is try to outline the request for you. This is a unique neighborhood. This is a unique project in unique circumstances. And what I'd like to do is define the request for you. The first item that we're requesting is a comprehensive plan amendment from office transition to low-intensity commercial. The second companion request is a request to rezone the property to a planned development. And in that development agreement, we commit to the uses, we commit to the development standards, we commit to the development plan. So in essence, when we do a comp plan amendment and the rezoning concurrently, you get to see everything from soup to nuts. Essentially, you know what you're going to get in return. And get back up one slide. Oh, that's a city slide. This is a depiction of the existing conditions on the property. One of the residential units fronts on International Speedway Boulevard. The other unit fronts, it's got double frontage on Ponce Inlet and Cordova. The two residential units total about 5,000 square feet, and the total land mass here is about 1.28 acres. One thing important to realize here is this is a commercial land use designation. The residential use itself is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. This section of International Speedway Boulevard, it's a 1 mile section if we measure it from Clyde Morris Boulevard all the way to Nova Road. It's been subject to a transition since you were a child. It's grown to 6 lanes wide, and on the north side, there is no residential homes whatsoever. They've been consumed by commercial development, which is consistent with your comp plan. On the south side, there are 6 residential homes fronting on International Speedway Boulevard, this being one of them. This project going forward, there would be approximately 5 residential homes remaining in a section of about 500 feet from Seneca to Tarragona. So within the 1-mile stretch, the residential uses themselves have been consumed. And this is, again, consistent with the comprehensive plan because this is on a major city thoroughfare. We don't want residential uses on a major city thoroughfare. The backup maneuvers, the driveways, everything is just inconsistent with a 45-mile, 6-lane highway. This next exhibit is a copy of the proposed development plan. And just so you understand, we didn't approach this thing with blinders on. We didn't put our heads in the sand. We went after this and worked with staff diligently to come up with a plan that actually takes merit to the neighborhood and takes merit to the existing commercial land use. So what we did is we positioned this commercial building. It's about 5,300 square foot commercial building. 2,700 square feet is going to be used for a medical office, the local orthodontist here in the community that is investing in the community, and this will be owner occupied. The remaining square footage consists of 2 rental units, about 1,300 square feet each. But what we did in this plan is we positioned this building as far north as we could, away from the residential land use, and we positioned it as far east, away from the residential land use. Abutting us on the east side is Ponce de Leon. It's a 100-foot right-of-way. Honestly, I've ridden on it a couple of times. I don't think anyone has access anymore. Once this residential home is removed, no one will have access to Ponce de Leon. So that's a 100-foot right-of-way park, call it what you want. I'm an engineer. Presentation wouldn't be complete without some numbers. I'm not going to bore you with this. I'm going to zero in on it. What we're doing is we're changing the comprehensive plan from office transition to low-intensity commercial. And what that does is it reduces the intensity of the project dramatically, almost by 2/3. Take, for example, under the FAR, in the office transition, it allows for 3 times the FAR. That would be 167,000 square feet that would be permitted on this lot. By supporting the comprehensive plan amendment, what we're going to do is scale that down 2/3. The maximum we could put on there is 55,000. With our companion request for the rezoning, the PD rezoning, we pare that down even more to 5,300 square feet of floor area. That's being proposed for this project. That's a 97% decrease in intensity, flat out. Every one of those little square boxes you see in this thing are considered reductions in intensity. We're reducing density, we're reducing the potential floor area, we're reducing the potential traffic generation, we're reducing demand on city utilities, we're reducing the building height, and we're reducing the lot coverage from 35% to 9.5%. In essence, this is reductions across the board. And by supporting the comprehensive plan in conjunction with the rezoning, as I said in the onset, you see the end result. You're going to get a project that you see within our development agreement as stated in your package. One thing that I wanted to point out, and staff was pretty clear in their reports, both in the comp plan report and the rezoning report. They said that we were consistent with the goals and objectives and the policies of the comprehensive plan. That's very, very important because that's our binder. That's what guides us. But there's one thing even more I wanted to point out. And there's a neighborhood future land use element. This is considered neighborhood M. Commissioner Reed, this is yours. And what it says is that, I'm going to read it to you here. It says that future rezonings of this land shall be limited to large office. We are not a large office. We're a small 1.2 acre site, or low intensity commercial developments. That's what we're proposing. And it says that while the scenic setback shall be maintained, the specific parameters of which may be addressed in the PD rezoning. And I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. It also states that for the commercial uses, the maximum floor area for restaurants and retail shall not exceed 50%. I presented that to you earlier. The doctor's office will take up over 51% of the total gross floor area. The remaining 2 units will be less than that, only about 49%. So we are consistent across the board with this neighborhood policy. A good development plan wouldn't be good without a good landscape plan. And in this plan, what I'm showing you is the amount of intensity in landscaping that we're proposing. Right off the cuff, we're proposing to preserve 2 times the existing trees on site. In addition to that, we're requesting in the PD amendment, our one waiver is to reduce the scenic buffer from 40 feet to 20 feet. This is consistent with what they did on Tarragona, the Tarragona Shops, and it's consistent in getting our commercial development further away from the residential land use. The scenic buffer along ISB is going to be planted only 20 feet wide, but the planting quantities of a 40-foot buffer. In addition to that, on the west side, we have compatibility issues. We have commercial adjacent to a potential medical use, and we have commercial medical adjacent to a residential use. The code dictates that we have a buffer, what's considered a type D buffer against the residential use. That's a 15-foot wide buffer, landscaped heavily. Against the commercial, it's only a 10-foot buffer. But the unique thing here is we have about 468 feet of frontage combined along Ponce de Leon and Cordova. And the way that the Land Development Code addresses this is it recognizes that this type of buffer is, get the right word here, is open space, requiring only a 5-foot buffer and trees every 40 to 80 feet. What we're proposing is the type D buffer, similar to what we have against the residents on the west-hand side. It's a 15-foot buffer. It has shade trees. It's got smaller trees. It's got a hedge. It's got ground cover, and it's got a 6-foot fence. The 6-foot fence, the ground cover, and the hedge are above code requirements. So what this does, go to the next slide, is it creates a green perimeter around this thing that pretty much when I look at an office transition use, some type of commercial use transitioning from commercial to residential, this is insulated. This insulates the neighborhood. And the last slide is directly out of the Land Development Code. This is the type D buffer that is depicted in the city's Land Development Code. Pretty intense. I'm not going to say ours is going to look like that right out of the box. This is a mature one, but ultimately this is the type of buffer that we're creating on both the east, the south, and the west sides. Pretty intense.
You do know they sell trees like that.
The tour.
I'm not going to deny the intensity of this project in relation to the neighborhood. As I said in the onset, we didn't approach this thing with blinders on. We sure didn't approach it with our head in the sand. It's important to recognize that the request that we have before you, this comp plan amendment, is a significant reduction in intensity. The request for our PD rezoning is, again, a significant reduction in commitment to development standards and an intensity that is, in combination, I think the best that we could offer. The concessions and commitments that we've made through both these applications, I'm proud of. I've been before this commission a number of times, and fortunately, I've never had anything contentious to say for the most part, and I hope I don't now. This is a really good project. I know it's sensitive to the neighborhood. I knew that going into this, and I think what we have before you is worthy of support. I'm not going to say this is a threat, but if it's not this, what is it going to be? When we went to the neighborhood meeting, I think the majority would have preferred nothing. Another portion would have preferred that the residential homes remain, which is inconsistent. We looked at the opportunity to redevelop these residential homes in the offices and let them remain. Not going to happen. They're not functional. ADA compliant, elevations, it doesn't work. So again, to be consistent with your comprehensive plan, It's intended for this property to be commercial. We've tendered before you what I think is the best plan. It could be more intense, it could be higher in height. We're only 20 feet high. As a comparison, the Tarragona Arches are 45 feet high. The Tarragona Shops, 41 feet high. So we're pretty low profile, pretty low intense, dramatically landscaped, heavily buffered. I don't know what more I can say. But I would appreciate your support and an open mind and consideration for the applications before you. Thank you.
Do we have any questions of the applicant? Sir?
Question for you, sir. What are the residents looking at when they're looking, so some of them can actually see through to the main road. What will they now be looking at?
There'll be a perimeter buffer, 15 feet, 6-foot fence, and our building about 130 feet in the distance.
And then are you planning on having any restaurants in there? I heard medical space.
Yes, what
Retail?
we've done is, in the development agreement, what we did is we pared our uses down to about 12. They include medical offices, just general offices, florist, flower shop, restaurant, retail. No, and this is important, I think, to realize because of some of the issues that have happened with Dunkin' Donuts. No drive-through. If there's a restaurant, we're committing to no drive-throughs, none whatsoever.
And then finally, in terms of dumpsters, where are the dumpsters located? If you have a restaurant or trash or debris, et cetera, for restaurants, where would that go?
We have them set behind the scenic setback. Photo's not up, but it's behind the scenic setback, about 15 feet, 20 feet plus, about 20 plus feet behind the setback. It's a screened enclosure and it's landscaped.
And so that's closer to the residential side.
No, ma'am. It's on the
Could you
commercial
show me
side.
where it is? I understand it's in the commercial area, but where is it on the map?
On the east side of the site, east side of the building. You see the little
Like a
concrete
little-
pad?
Yeah.
That's
Okay, I
the
see
dumpster
it.
location.
I see it. All right, thanks.
It appears as if the entry to this is only from the heading east.
That's correct, Commissioner Reed. That's important. I'm glad you noticed that. What we did is we limited our access only to International Speedway Boulevard. There's no access to any of the residential neighborhood streets, Ponce Inlet and Cordova. We're completely screened off.
You know, one of the greatest concerns of the citizens of this neighborhood, having been the first residential area of Daytona Beach, is that we continue to encroach upon their entryway. There's a small sign there just beyond where your development is that says the Highlands of Daytona Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if your applicant would be interested in perhaps something that stands out to let people know that the Highlands is still there? Something a little slightly larger than what is, some kind of notable something in Coquina or something?
I wouldn't see not, but I'd like to talk to you about some options to do that. This is the Tarragona Arch itself is on a city-owned piece of property. With the scenic buffer planted and the intensity that we're proposing, it may not be as visible as you might want it to be. But I'm sure this is, we are open-minded.
Now, I'm going beyond the arch, right there. You know where their current sign is? Near the traffic light?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a small sign there. They don't want to be forgotten. There's a lot of history in that neighborhood. And
Yes,
I know-
ma'am. I'm aware of that, and I did do some homework on that. I understand the origin of the arches, the lifespan of the arches, the placement on the National Historic Register in only a couple of years ago. And there's a lot of significance there. I recognize that. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm beyond the arches. There's so much more history within the homes that are behind it, which is why you have a contingency.
Gonna have a,
But we will hear from them.
Yes.
we will. Okay. Do we have any other questions of the applicant? Okay. All right, thank you. We'll hear from the residents at this time.
Okay.
Or whoever is in the audience.
My first speaker is Faith Stanbrook, and on deck is Phyllis Hogan.
Good evening. My name is Faith Stainbrook. My husband and I own 230 Ponce de Leon Boulevard in the Highlands. As a city, it is our inherent responsibility to ensure the proper care and preservation of our historical areas. The proposed construction would essentially abut the Tarragona Arch, which, as Commissioner Reed stated, is on the National Historic Register. The neighborhood, again, Commissioner Reed, she made my argument for me. The neighborhood is full of historical homes. It's full of many examples of early Florida architecture you won't find anywhere else in the city of Daytona Beach. A modern boxy building, a PVC fence, it's certainly not in keeping with the surrounding area, and it's an eyesore next to the majesty of the Tarragona Arch. During an interaction just yesterday with Daytona Beach Police Department, I learned that they are struggling to police the Tarragona shops, the existing commercial development that is right next to this one. They're struggling to control the truants. They're struggling to control the deviants and the loiterers, and it's already starting to spill over into our neighborhood. An additional commercial property there only increases that. It increases the area for them to loiter in. It increases the potential for that to spill over into our very quiet, very low-crime residential neighborhood. With the current plague of blighted, unoccupied retail space on the International Speedway Boulevard corridor, what good does it do this city to allow another one to take the place of current green space and residents? I heard the gentleman speak and say minimal. We heard minimal so many times from him. Minimal encroachment. This development would go from International Speedway Boulevard all the way to Cordova. We're talking a full block into the Highlands. And if you know the history of Daytona Beach, you know this neighborhood was the neighborhood to be in. We had governors, we had mayors, we had the who's who lived in the Highlands. The Highlands were built before they were in the city limits. The city of Daytona grew to include the Highlands. Their initial construction was outside of the city limits. There's a beautiful document that you can find online. It's so historical, it's being held by the University of Florida, and it is the original realtor's brochure for the Highlands. It is written like a love letter to the state of Florida, to the city of Daytona, and to Daytona Beach Highlands. And I hope that the commissioners take the residents into consideration when you make this judgment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Phyllis Hogan, and on deck is Harold Dickinson.
Good evening, Mayor Henry
Good evening.
and commissioners, and Mr. Fiacher. We would like to welcome you, the Daytona Highlands, a belated welcome. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. I'm Phyllis Hogan of 1112 Balboa Avenue. I've lived in the Highlands for 59 years. I'm also the current president of the Neighborhood Association. I'm here to speak against changing the land use map as well as the companion rezoning of 1113 West ISB. As information, what's not mentioned really in either of the proposals is that the entire north side of Cordova Avenue will also be affected, and that will include 110 Ponce de Leon Avenue as well. I wrote to each of you on October the 7th and gave you detailed information, so I'm not going to waste time going over all of that again. But what I want you to hear from me and what you're going to hear or have heard from other residents is this. The proposed structure will be in very close proximity to the historic Tarragona Arch. Not only is it too close, the proposed aesthetics would be detrimental to the rich history of the arch in our neighborhood. Someone else will or has spoken about the green space that will be destroyed. There are traffic and safety concerns. Our neighborhood's old. It dates back to 1925, and the sewage infrastructure is old. We don't need sewage backing up into our homes. So please, I'm asking you to preserve the Daytona Highlands and our history. I know you've got a lot of other things going on, Beach Street and Midtown and the beach side and other hot spots in town, but the west side of Daytona needs a little love too. So please help us preserve our historic neighborhood and vote no on both of these proposals. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Harold Dickinson, and on deck is Gary Kemmer.
I'm Harold Dickinson Jr. I live at 125 Ponce de Leon Boulevard in the Highlands. I moved there on January 1st, 2001. Here we go again, taking away more single home real estate from the historic Highlands. I bought my home because of single family resident. All my neighbors, single family homes. I live diagonally from the brick house that they plan on tearing down. And there's a nice cement block house on International they're tearing down. I got a real nice view through those guys' yards and State College, all the way to State College. It's like I live in a park. I got a beautiful view. Now this building and all the setbacks is gonna be diagonally from my house. And then this white fence is gonna block off Cordova and Ponce de Leon Boulevard. So my residential home, I'm going to be looking at a white fence for years. And we've lost the area where the Tarragona shops are. They've got 3 vacant units there they have not rented out. This unit here, it's going to have 2 extra units that may or may not rent out. From our neighborhood to Home Depot, I count at least 20 vacant retail storefronts. That's not counting what's over here by Steak and Shake, that building, or what's in the Volusia Mall. All those commercial properties have accessed International Speedway, but to come into our neighborhood, our historic neighborhood, and take away from it, there's a lot of other options. And what about spending money on revitalizing some of those other storefronts that aren't used, instead of spending money tearing down a couple homes and into our historic neighborhood? And just get the numbers right. There is a buffer between the Tarragona Arch and the Bank of America. There's 6 homes. Look it up on Google Earth, not 5, 6 homes. And then we had homes all the way to Mainland High School. They got tore out. Now they want to take out 2 more. I'm asking you, please represent the citizens of this neighborhood, not for just one developer, but represent the citizens of this neighborhood, protect it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gary Kemmer, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Gary Kemmer, 1144 Cordova, Daytona Beach. Once again, I'm right next door to one of these things that they're proposing. I bought a house in a residential neighborhood, and I'll be losing value while somebody else will be making a profit at my expense if this zoning is changed. I do not agree that having houses alongside the main entrance to Daytona Beach is a bad thing. If you get out by the Speedway, you come in off the interstate and you start heading east by the Speedway, one of the few remaining patches of forest you see is straight ahead is on this property. And it's all going to be cut down. These 85-foot tall trees are all going to be cut down and bulldozed down and replaced by more empty retail space. If there's a restaurant there, we're going to be getting smells into the neighborhood. We're going to be having dumpsters. I'm glad to see that the dumpsters are on the east side rather than right next door to me, but there's still going to be rats running around and smells. And I think that's, oh yeah, the vacant houses are in good condition. They could easily be sold as residential houses. They're not junky houses. They are empty, but that's because the people died and moved away. But they're in excellent condition. We don't need, I think that we should take some of the empty retail space we've got, like even next door, that shopping center that was built about 5 years ago. It's still got unrented space in it. And I think there's plenty of empty space for the orthodontist to refurbish and use rather than to cut down our trees and put in more retail, which may not even be used. And if it is used, we don't need a restaurant in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
And my final speaker for 9A is John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. I understand the neighborhood. I understand they want to live in the past. The past doesn't exist for any of us anymore. It's gone. When I moved here 30 years ago, I was told that that was commercial property, that those trees were going to be developed. We anticipated that. My argument was the Ocean Walk shops. They were right in front of my house. From my bedroom window, I could see the beach. That was an amenity. People would call and say, "How's the surf?" And I could tell them what it was. I can't do that anymore. Even if they put a one-story building on the property in front of me, I would not be able to see the beach or the surf. I knew that was going away. The city now gains $1 million a year from that property to help with the rest of the city. This development was anticipated to be probably 4 stories high. They're going to put half the height. Now, when I look out my window, I don't see the sun until like 10 o'clock. All right? I'm aware of what a tall building is like. I got used to it. It was beneficial for the city to have that building there. It will be beneficial to the city to develop ISB as a commercial corridor. And I understand what happened with LPGA and the development that went out there. Nobody could have anticipated that going up as fast as it did. Remember Tangier Outlet Mall, Ruth? You weren't quite sure it was going to be successful. It is successful in spades. But the city's growing. We are now, believe it or not, from Newsweek, the 3rd most popular destination for retirees. When that development goes out, if 10,000 homes go out there, those people are going to need shops. They're not all going to shop on LPGA. The development has come down LPGA. They're only within 200 feet or so of ISB. Those people that are going to be living between here and DeLand, and believe it or not, they will go out until the end of the park. Those people will come down ISB and shop. This is a great development. Thank God it's not 10 foot tall. It's not a box, ugly box. The landscaping is superior. Not everybody has a park in front of their house. They will get that vacant grass replaced by trees. You saw what it was. It may not be that immediately. Trust me, but it will eventually grow into a nice park. Thank you.
That was my final speaker for 9A.
All right. We have heard from the residents and we have heard from the applicant. And it is noted that the planning board acknowledged this on a vote of 5-2 as reasonable for our consideration. Commissioner Reed, this is your zone, and not sure if you want to start with our comments or how you want to, or you want me to start.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can appreciate John saying that people are living in the past. And who's to say that things that have happened in the past aren't a good thing, or that we can't continue that if it's a good thing? And they're not asking for much, and they only come when we encroach upon their property. It's, as we stated, the Highlands is the oldest neighborhood in Daytona Beach. Beautiful homes, beautiful landscaping, beautiful people. And if we don't do something as a city to save that entryway, then who will? I can appreciate the fact that this is a major thoroughfare and that, yes, our comprehensive plan says we want it to be commercial. However, this particular corner and this particular area is like the last piece of land that really is an entryway into them off of that major thoroughfare. And if we're not going to do something to beautify that, to preserve that history, there's so much history there. They really, we had a Zoom meeting, the Homeowners Association and myself, we had a Zoom meeting. And I told them, they told me so many things that have happened and so many people who have lived in that area that they actually need their own little museum just because of the history that they have, the artists that have painted there, the people who have lived there. They need a little Highlands area. Maybe we should buy those homes and make a museum there. But I guess you actually have to live it to know that, someone is encroaching upon where you reside, where you spend most of your time. We have a lot of retirees there. You have folks like us who were born and raised here, who've come back and are living in the homes in which their parents, blood, sweat, and tears prepared for them. I know, Phyllis, aren't you living in your parents' house? And I'm living in my parents' house. So I can understand how they feel. And I support them this evening. I support their thoughts, the process. It's unfortunate that we couldn't come to some kind of conclusion with the developer. I don't know what can go there. That's something that we might need to sit around and talk about. What would the homeowners welcome? But I understand exactly what they're saying, and I feel for them, and I will be in support of my citizenry, my constituents, this evening.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
I support the idea of when people buy a single-family dwelling, that it's a single-family dwelling community that they're purchasing into. I recognize environments change, but you bought something with an understanding, and I think that should be honored as well.
Okay.
I do have a question. I did hear one of the residents said that they would lose their property value. Do we have anybody that can speak on that? Because I would actually think their property value would gain.
I think that's a suspect assessment on either side, and this is me speculating because value is twofold. I think it would it may gain value from a speculator, and this is the reality of what the problem is. It may lose value as a home. So less people may not want to live there because of its location, but another person may want to buy it because of the possibility of its future, which is the very reason that I think we should be really considering our decision tonight. For me,
I do have one more
yeah,
question.
okay, go ahead.
And I did hear from the applicant that he said the houses weren't in good shape, I believe he said, and then a resident just said the houses are in good shape over there that are being torn down. So which is it?
These are masonry homes.
No.
Yeah.
We can't speak from the public.
They're masonry homes. They're blocked. They're not conducive to what the applicant would like to do. They can't be used for that.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Is someone here from the police department, chief or someone, that can concur that they're having difficulties at the Tanger?
I can concur.
Okay.
I can concur also.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Lee? Deputy Chief?
Somebody.
Deputy Chief, or we didn't?
Come on, Deputy Whitty.
Good evening, everyone. Deputy Chief Whittet with Daytona Beach Police Department. To speak on the part of the shops at right there at Tarragona is yes. Just recently, we had a stolen vehicle out of there. The pizza delivery person parked their car out there to go get some more orders. Their car was stolen by some high school kids from Mainland when they had gotten out. It was parked, they dumped it in the park just down the road. But we do have a lot of people cutting through there, business owners calling, people hanging out in the parking lot that they want removed, trespass, things like that. So yes, we do have problems at that place.
Thank you, Deputy Whittet.
Yep.
And to add to that, the property owner has confided in me, and as it relates to the myriad of issues that he has as it relates to the students and what we can do to abate many of the problems with truancy and just the incursion or intrusion that they're making on the property. It's a major problem.
And all of that spills over into the neighborhood because it's easier to run between some houses and hide than to run down International Speedway because we're going to see you. You know?
I've always heard it said that strong neighborhoods make a strong city. And this is a strong neighborhood.
Oh, yes.
They care about each other very much. They are very active. I know we say there should be progress, but like Commissioner May said, when a person buys a single-family residence, they should be comfortable in the fact it's going to remain a single-family residence neighborhood. They should not have to worry that there will be encroachment by commercial. I know things don't stand still, but like she said, when they buy a single-family residence, they should feel comfortable in living there, that it should be a single-family residence. As somebody else said, there are plenty of other empty spaces available. I do not see why they need to destroy this neighborhood, as they have already started with the Tarragona Shops. And this is also in a historical place. I trying to balance it, and I don't see any good in okaying this project.
Okay. All right.
And I'd like to say one last thing. When I go to work in the morning, that traffic is so backed up at Dunkin' Donuts, I don't know who planned that. I mean, cars are on International Speedway in line to get into Dunkin' Donuts at Tarragona Shops. It's ridiculous. It takes up that whole, southbound lane to get some donuts, maybe a bagel. But it's really congested for people trying to go to work if they've got to head east. It really is. It's ridiculous.
Commissioner Reed, I think they're there for the avocado toast.
Oh, that's what it is? Thank you for clarifying that for Mr. May. I got to go try that.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. Okay. There are at least 10 reasons to object to this tonight. And the first of which was all of Mr. Nicholson's assessments. They show the absurdity of believing that every development in every new building is good, and that every dollar is a good dollar that is going to move your city forward. Just because this property would bring in more revenue does not mean that we should have it. Otherwise, why would we have neighborhoods if we just want to have buildings that are commercial? And this is coming from one who believes in commercial edification to a city. However, we're not worth the salt that we're built on if we don't protect and preserve the neighborhoods. I think Ms. Hogan said it best when she said that the West Side needs some love. And sometimes love doesn't cost you, in the way of building a street. It just simply means that you have to say that we are here to protect you, that we are here to help you to preserve your heritage, your expectation. Couldn't have been better said by Commissioner May when she said that when you buy a property, you expect that to be. Now, the applicant is, in my mind, a speculator. And when you speculate in a free enterprise system, you are speculating. So you can't expect that for the rules to change to benefit you to the detriment of everyone else. So unfortunately, and then there's just 10 more reasons at least. Why would we allow the arch to be encroached upon in this close amount of space. I mean, this is a historic, significant structure that we paid money, good money, to keep elevated as a city because we valued that structure. Why would we now devalue something that we years ago moved, wanted to continue to highlight as a historic part of our community? It's an unnecessary encroachment on a neighborhood, unnecessary for many reasons. We want housing in Daytona Beach. This is an existing neighborhood with 2 houses that are of sound report and reasonable to continue our community. So emphatically, unassailably, without profanity, no. This is not good for this neighborhood, and it's not even good, in my opinion, for Daytona Beach. So I'm voting no. Do we have any other comments? None? Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Aye.
No.
Motion fails, 0 to 6. Or 6 to 0.
0 to 6.
0 to 6 because it's backwards, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the next item is related to the 9A, is the Development Administrative Services Planning Division, 1113 West ISB Plan Development General Rezoning. This is an ordinance on second reading. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 1.3 plus or minus acres of property located at 1113 West International Speedway Boulevard, east of the Tarragona Shops and west of the Tarragona Tower, from SFR 5, Single Family Residential 5, to PDG Plan Development General, approving the 1113 West ISB Plan Development Agreement, authorizing the development of a commercial building on the property subject to certain conditions, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Mayor, if I may, before you take a vote, now that you've not adopted the comprehensive plan, the PD is not consistent with the existing comprehensive plan, so it would be legally inappropriate under the standard for adoption to adopt the PD at this point. I presume your vote will be the same, but I wanted to advise you of that as well.
Okay. Okay. We have a
I did have Ms. Phyllis Hogan sign up to speak on this item. Do you wait?
Okay. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. We've heard from our attorney. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Yeah.
You rescind that? Okay. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye. Motion fails 0 to 6. Thank you for, I hope, sending a unanimous message that we care about our neighborhoods in Daytona Beach.
Okay, we'll now move on to item 9C, which is the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Clyde Morris Vascular Business Professional Rezoning. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 2.9 plus or minus acres of property generally located on the northwest quadrant of the Clyde Morris Boulevard and Florida Street intersection from RP Residential Professional to BP Business Professional, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner Cantu. All right.
And I have Joey Posey here for any questions on behalf of the applicant.
All right. Any questions of Joey? All right. No questions. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to item 9D, it's the Development Administrative Services Planning Division, DME Sports LLC Voluntary Annexation. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance annexing into the city of Daytona Beach one parcel of land containing 3.81 plus or minus acres, generally located on the south side of Bellevue Avenue and south of Daytona Beach Airport, redefining the territorial boundaries of the city of Daytona Beach to include the property, redesignating the boundaries of Zone 4 of the city of Daytona Beach to include the property, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner May.
And I do have Joe Hopkins here for any questions on behalf of the applicant.
All right, no questions? All right. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to 9E, it's the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Mason Nova Commerce Park, Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance adopting the comprehensive plan amendments in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2, Florida statutes, in relation to 14.6 plus acres of land, the subject property, generally located south of Mason Avenue, west of Nova Road, north of Madison Avenue, and east of Briarwood Drive, amending the future land use map designations of portions of the subject property as follows: 3.4 plus acres from level 1 residential to retail, 2.4 plus acres from level 2 residential to retail, 2.9 plus acres from level 2 residential to park recreation, and 5.9 plus acres from level 1 residential to park recreation, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed. We'll take a second from Commissioner Henry. Do we have any questions or comments?
And I have no speakers for this item.
All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to item 9F, it's Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Mason Nova Commerce Park, first amended and restated Plan Development General. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance rezoning 16.3 plus acres of property located at 1011 and 1021 Mason Avenue from BA Business Automotive and PDG Plan Development General to PDG Plan Development General Zoning District, approving the first amended and restated Mason Nova Commerce Park Plan District Agreement, providing for the redevelopment of the property, including construction of additional buildings and signage, modification of permitted uses, and required upgrades to existing facades, landscaping, and parking, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, approving the preliminary plat, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner Reed. Do we have any questions or comments?
I have a comment. This is a perfect example of taking something that used to be very thriving and bringing some life back. I look forward to this. It's going to just beautify that area. We need something there besides just bingo.
Yep.
And I have no speakers for this item.
And to all developers, we have lots of properties in Daytona Beach, in the core of the city, that we welcome you to consider in this nature. Any other questions or comments? No speakers? All right. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to 9G, it's the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Land Development Code Text Amendment, outdoor art display and sales activities on Main Street and Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending Section 5.3 of the City Land Development Code relating to accessory uses and structures to authorize outdoor art displays and sales on an accessory use for certain commercial properties located in the RDB2, RDB3, RDD3, RDM2, RDM5, and BR1 zoning districts, subject to use-specific standards, providing a sunset date, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Reed. Do you have any questions or comments? All right, hearing none.
I'm sorry, I do have one speaker. It's Mr. John Nicholson.
Oh, yes, Mr. Nicholson. Apologies.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. Unintended consequences. We've done this before for Main Street. If you recall, there there's a law with liquor licenses that if you're getting a restaurant liquor license, you have to have 51% food. Well, we changed the law for Main Street. And unfortunately, it went over to Seabreeze. And now Seabreeze has more bars than restaurants. You're planning this for one thing. It doesn't mean it's going to be that way in the future. They had hoped that Main Street would thrive because you didn't have to have 51% liquor, because you can't do that during Bike Week and Biketoberfest. But for 14 days out of the year, they wanted to help those men that own those bars. Well, you see what happened on Seabreeze because of what we did on Main Street. Now, these things are going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can have TPO, what we would have called in the past TPOs. They can sell outside of their buildings now 24/7. You don't think of it that way, and nobody's planning it right now. But what you plan and what we're looking at right now is one business who has a great idea, but it's not limited to them when you go down the future. So I'm asking you, if you already decided on this, but prepare for what might happen to make sure that this does not turn into something that you will not like. Thank you.
I have a question. Mr. Jagger, you said it, I think we believe it's the first reading, that you had to move the date back for the tattoo shop. Am I correct?
Well, we moved the sunset date back to coincide with the date of this meeting. It's a one-year sunset date. I should also point out in response to Mr. Nicholson that this use is limited to fine art and handmade crafts produced by local artists, and it's only on weekends. It's only for Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I
So
was
it's not
confused.
24/7.
Have to be open?
Does the shop have to
The
be open?
primary business, does it have to be open at the same
This is
time?
certainly intended for the shop to be open. I don't know if that'd be a specific requirement of this code, however. Do you want to speak to that, Jim?
Morris, Deputy City Manager, the answer is yes, it does. It's an accessory use to the primary use. The primary use has to be open.
Oh, that's correct. So it's under the accessory use section. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
I can almost see this encouraging businesses to stay open a little bit longer that would generally close as an enticement. All right.
It broadens their market. You broaden the market, they have the opportunity to do business. They stay open to do business. That simple.
And just for the record, this will come back before us before it sunsets, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. We have any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to item 9H is the Development Administrative Services Property Rights Element Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading public hearing. An ordinance adopting large-scale comprehensive plan amendments in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2 Florida statutes, creating a property rights element, including goals, objectives, and policies, to provide that private property rights are considered in local decision-making in accordance with Florida statute Section 163.31 as amended by Chapters 2021-195, Laws of Florida, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Traeger.
I have no speakers for this item, Mr. Mayor.
All right, no speakers?
What happens when two individuals, two property rights come into conflict with each other? Is there a superseding rule at all? Which one goes first? Which one has the right?
Are we talking about this item?
Yeah.
If there's a dispute over a lot line or property rights, that's a civil matter between those owners. Comprehensive plan doesn't really address that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we have a motion, we have a second, we have no further questions. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to 9A, which is the Daytona Beach LPJ 711 Plan Development Agreement, ordinance on second reading, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 2.3 plus or minus acres of property located at 2100 LPJ Boulevard from PDG Plan Development General to PDG Plan Development General, approving the Daytona Beach LPGA 711 Plan Development Agreement, authorizing use of the property as a convenience store with fueling facilities and a car wash, subject to certain conditions, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date, and the applicant has requested that this item be continued until the January 5th, 2022 City Commission meeting.
So moved.
All right, we'll take a motion from Commissioner Reed. Who was the second?
Second.
Take a second from Commissioner Cantu. Okay. All right, motion and a second to continue. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
We'll now move on to 9J, which is the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Hand Avenue Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance adopting comprehensive plan amendments in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2 Florida statute in relation to 22.2 plus acres of land, the subject property, generally located northeast of the intersection of Williamson Boulevard and Hand Avenue, amending the future land use map designation of 4.9 plus acres of the subject property from Volusia County Commercial to City Level 2 Residential, amending the future land use designation of 17.3 plus acres of the subject property from Volusia County Urban Medium Intensity to City Level 2 Residential, amending the future land use element Neighborhood S development policy with regard to the subject property, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. So moved by Commissioner Cantu, and the second from Commissioner May. All right. Do we have any?
I don't have any speakers, but I do have Jessica Gow here on behalf of the applicant for questions.
All right. Do we have any questions?
You know, I just be concerned about the little deers and the little rabbits.
Okay. I understand that.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions, comments? No other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on to item 9K, it's Legal Department City Code Amendment, Chapter 62, Article 3, Nuisance Abatement. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending Chapter 62, Article 3, City Code of Ordinances relating to nuisance abatement to conform nuisance abatement provisions of the code to recent changes in state law by including additional grounds for declaration of a public nuisance, providing for conflicts, codification, and severability, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
I have a motion from Commissioner May and a second from Commissioner Reed.
I have no speakers for this item, Mr. Mayor.
All right. You have any questions or comments?
Is this to agree with the Florida law?
Yes, the intent is to bring us in line with the authorizations under Florida law for nuisance abatement.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
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 Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. We'll now move on to item number 10, which is our administrative items. Item 10A is the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Third Amendment to the First United Methodist Church Plan Development Agreement and Hallmark Heritage Plan Development General. This is an This is an ordinance on first reading, an ordinance relating to approximately 42.2 acres of property located on the west side of Williamson Boulevard, approximately 1,000 feet north of Strickland Range Road and 750 feet south of Memorial Medical Parkway, rezoning the property from PDG Plan Development General to PDG Plan Development General Zoning District, approving the Third Amendment to the First United Methodist Church Plan Development Agreement to remove the property from the ambit of that agreement, approving the Hallmark Heritage Plan District Agreement, authorizing development of the property with residential, limited commercial uses, and medical uses, subject to conditions, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the amendment and the agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So move.
We'll take a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner Cantu.
Mayor, if I may, I did have conversations with Attorney Posey this week, and he would like to make some minor revisions and announce those tonight so that we can adopt those on second reading, subject to your approval, of course.
Yes.
Good evening, Joey Posey, 420 South Nova, attorney for the applicant, and I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to get ahead of some things here, and it's been a long time coming because we've had about a 6-month gap of thinking and trying to make sure that this is the best project it can be, and part of that discussion included the lot sizes and how to try to capture that to where it's in line with what we're proposing versus what may be the minimum that's required in the PD. So, what we're looking to do with your guys' blessing is that we'd like to include limitations on the number of lots as a percentage. So the 40s, 50s, and 60s, that we'd be looking for no more than probably 40% on the 40s, be 30% on the 50s at least, and then 20% of the 60s as an at least also. And that's, just being more restrictive and making sure, and that's something we intended at the outset too. So that seems to be more in line with the vision, what we have for the property. The other technical change is that at the planning board, we had a very good discussion about the cell tower and the potential of having a cell tower on this site somewhere. And I guess in our infinite wisdom, we forgot to make that a contingency of the motion. And so we're happy to include it, and that's what we want to include. So we'd like to make that offer too, that with the blessing, and I think based on my discussion with the city attorney, that making sure that you guys are on board with that change, that the formality of the process, it'd have to go back to the planning board, them to say, yes, that's exactly what we intended to include, and then it would come back for you on second reading. So we wanted to make those representation at public hearing, and as long as that's included as part of the motion, then we're happy to do it. And it doesn't change our timeline.
That
So
would be on next week's planning board
yes.
agenda.
Okay.
So if I could just...
Do I amend my motion?
Oh, thank you. And the second would need to be amended as well.
Okay.
So I
Second. Okay, you amend your motion to?
amend my motion
To
to
reflect-
include the different changes that he suggested about the lots and the cell tower.
The motion is being amended to reflect the change in lot sizes or the requirements associated with the lot sizes.
Correct.
As well as the cell phone tower.
Excellent.
And do we have
amend
a
my
second?
Okay.
All right, clarified motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. And that was the final agenda
All right,
item.
this moves us to commission comments. We commence tonight with the Zone 6 Commissioner, the Honorable Paula R. Reed.
Oh, you better say it, Mr. Mayor. Well, first of all, I'd like to commend our city manager for just, he does so much, but today, having staff to put on pink, and some of us read our email, and to recognize breast cancer for men and for women. Having had a breast cancer survivor in my own immediate family, as well as sorority sisters who have survived, and just friends in general, is something that we need to take note of and recognize. And thank God for those who've made it through, and pray for those families who have had loss because of that. So I commend him for that. On this past weekend, during Biketoberfest, I went on the Ave, and I just want to commend Karen. I think her last name is Eager. I stopped in to check out what she'd done because I've been promising I was going to come. And the Midtown Cafe, I think I had some wings and some rice. Y'all got to go. They make their own sauce. And I swear I've had this sauce before. It tastes like something the Robinsons used to make. But it was very good. It was very filling, and it was very good. And I think this is going to be the catalyst for helping MMB and businesses and taking some of those buildings that are vacant to recognize that something can be done. Even with our meeting that we had today in regards to addressing that street. The new things are coming. There's a new wind blowing in Daytona Beach, all over the city, not just in that area. Now, when people move to a city, and they try to determine where they're going to live. One of the first things they're concerned about are the schools. And as educators, we know that educating our children is very important. So I've received a request, Mr. City Manager, for the utilization of our Midtown Center. The date right now is December 12th, for an education town hall. The superintendent, deputy superintendent, and the cabinet have already signed off on this and are willing to come. The schools that we're concerned about that they want to address for families to understand and the community to understand what they're struggling with are Turity Small Elementary, Campbell Middle School, Mainland Senior High School, and Palm Terrace. They want the city to know what is happening with those schools and how can we as a community help those schools to help those young people thrive. This is our future. This is our tomorrow. We're hoping that these young people will be educated and want to come back and do things in the city like some of us have done. So I'd like to discuss that further. They've also invited the NAACP, but the text came to me to host this and to just have the families come there and just how can we develop this. There's also a request, Mr. Mayor, for you to be there, being an educator yourself, and Mr. City Manager, for you to be there as well. So please check your calendars. I got my final text that all of those individuals, the superintendent, deputy superintendent, and their cabinet are free and are willing to come on December 7th.
When is it?
December 7th. 7th.
Has the room been reserved, or are you asking me to try?
No, sir, I'm asking you. I just got my final, I couldn't say anything until I knew who all was coming. And my final text indicated that all of those individuals were willing to come. And we're calling it an education townhouse. Town hall, thank you, town hall. Time, 6 p.m.
I'll get with Mr. Willis and Ms. Goodman to see, make sure it's available.
Yes, sir. How's it look for you all? And the commission, of course, you're welcome to come. These are our babies. That's a Tuesday evening,
I'll be there.
December 7th, 6 p.m.
We'll get an email. Yeah.
Since you all are all
Oh yeah, we'll get it together. I'm just addressing it tonight. I'm sorry, I missed something.
I said, since many of you probably will be attending, if the dates are available, everything is good, we'll make sure the proper notification is made that.
Yes, sir. That's what Commissioner Cantu was just saying, emailing us and public notification of this. But we want the public to come to this because we want them to hear from these teachers and from this administration on how the community in itself, parents, and all of them can be more responsible in helping these young people. All right. Well, y'all know we lost another game. Pray for us this weekend, please, please, please. Everybody stretch out your right hand.
Sometimes just one game matters.
They'll turn that spirit around. You're absolutely right. I need to go and give them a motivational pep talk. Well, that last one is the one that really matters.
Sometimes.
But,
sometimes when the season is not going your way, you just hold on to that one hope.
Hold on.
Let's see if we can get that one done. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I also want to thank Mr. Fietcher for bringing attention to the breast cancer awareness for both women and men, and I thank you for that. And we've all heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a community also to raise a child, so I'm very much in favor of your town hall. And thank you for everybody for attending. Those in Zone 2, don't forget to vote. And we all should probably check our registration, make sure that we're properly registered to vote for next year.
So a couple of things this evening. I received a few phone calls, had a couple of conversations with some businesses on ISB, Atlantic and Seabreeze, and they wanted us to have a conversation about including those areas, East ISB, Atlantic, and Seabreeze, in the arts display and sales. And the reason was they're thinking it would make it more of a comprehensive arts concept because they really like the idea. They wanted us to maybe do some research and consider the concept. And there is some buy-in from some pretty big stakeholders with large pieces of property that they were quite excited that we were moving forward in this direction. So can we investigate that to see if it's possible?
Yes, we can. Staff can look at it.
What's the areas again?
East ISB, Atlantic, and Seabreeze. So it encompasses Main Street.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting if we did have art displays on the weekends. It was like a little walking area. You went from one to the other, more of a comprehensive concept that they would buy into.
Okay.
But I think that some of the business owners with property would make it quite impressive. They were very excited at the idea of this, but they wanted to be included in this. Mhm.
I think the more the merrier as it relates to art and people who want to embrace it. So sounds good
Super.
to me to
Okay.
consider.
Then the next thing is going to be, I myself am into family emotional wellness, and I'm into individual emotional wellness. And so Bethune-Cookman will be hosting some seminars in the upcoming year dealing with, I don't like to say mental health. It sounds like it's a disease. I look more toward the positive side of psychology, so how we can improve our emotional wellness. And they'll be doing a series of seminars and events at Bethune-Cookman, so I think that's quite exciting for the local community. And then also I do volunteer work at the different schools, and I have been for years. So speaking to the families in all of that and their emotional health definitely contributes to the improvement of the young person. Just a thought. Also, I'd like to know, where are we on the arts gallery for the city? We had discussed having an arts gallery.
Yes, our problem is that we don't have programs within the college areas that have the art-type programs. And so we're going to have to look at, as we continue to go down the road of looking at the art program that we're going to use with some of our relief funds, we're going to have to go outside of just looking at the colleges and the high school students and really looking at local artists that may be able to put something in our facilities as an art gallery.
Okay, super. And then finally, I want to say it's November 4th, but I'm just looking for my flyer right here. Allen Chapel, and I can't quite find it. Allen Chapel is hosting an event which is going to bring a small footprint home to the Daytona Beach area. They'll actually have a small footprint home coming in from the Orlando area, Altamont Springs area, on a flatbed, and they encourage people to come and walk through it. One of the builders will be there, and you can ask questions about it. This particular small footprint home is on a solid cement base, not on wheels, and it can be good for one person. It's got a bedroom, a washroom, and a kitchen. I've seen it. I've walked through it. I've gone to the land area to investigate it. There are different cities who are now creating and do have small developments with a small footprint home. This particular builder, and there's more than one actually has 2 bedrooms available as well. They are units that can get a mortgage. They are Florida Building Code rated and inspected. So it's quite a nice product. But there are many other products out there. But I thought, since we're having conversation about varied types of housing, that this is a very good option. So I'm really glad that Allen Chapel was able to bring this to the city with the help of Spike Week Commission funds from last time. That's what it was for. I encourage people to come. Happens to be the same day that you're doing your walk, sir. But I would love for you to walk by and take a look at it. So maybe we can consider in the future, once we take a look at it, some zoning, taking a look at how we can have communities or what a real tiny footprint looks like. And it's decked out. One more thing, you can also get layered financing for it, which makes it wonderful. You could use a housing voucher to actually purchase a home and become a homeowner. So I hope you come to it. And that is it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just have a few things. Right now, we have FDOT is doing a PDE off LPGA between Williamson Boulevard and Route 92, including the bridge. They are expecting it to be done by 2023, and then it will go to design. The county council meeting yesterday, when I was watching it, on item 9, the fair share, the Meritage Homes of Florida and the city of Daytona Beach for Links Terrace development passed, and it was mentioned they will have enough money to finish the project on Williamson. And they also, a councilwoman mentioned the fair share regarding LPGA. And my question is, since we have county council talking about fair share off LPGA, that if we could start talking to county about the 2021 and 2022 projection with the fair share money for LPGA and Dunn extension. Can we?
Yeah, we're going to, Deputy City Manager Morris is on it, and we'll be contacting the county and other entities.
Okay, because I think right now it's like the perfect time. since we have county on board as well. Another thing is, I'd just like to say thank you to code enforcement. Walmart off Bevel Road is the best it's ever looked. I've lived over in that area for 23 years, and I'm telling you, it looks amazing. Since they've gotten rid of a lot of the shrubs, you can actually see Walmart from the road. You do not see all the trash laying everywhere. It looks really great. Next thing is the City of Daytona Beach will be hosting a truck or treat at City Hall on October 31st from 5 to 8. There'll be face painting, games, pumpkin patch, a costume contest that starts at 6:30 with different age groups and prizes. So I think that should be really fun for the kids and families.
Yeah, right. It's nice to activate something at City Hall, too. Yeah. Commissioner Henry?
Okay, three quick things. So Zone 5 will be having our Neighborhood Watch meeting on Monday. I invite everyone to come out. The Flournoy family fed us at the last Neighborhood Watch. That's their new restaurant. And their new restaurant is on 8th Street, and it's phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal soul food. And they brought so much food. And they brought peach cobbler. And so we're going to be...
Where is this? You said peach cobbler?
It's the Flournoy family restaurant in the 8th Street Plaza right there. They fed our Neighborhood Watch, and they're going to be feeding the Neighborhood Watch every month. So we're trying to grow our membership, and if you feed them, they will come.
We just want the mayor to go so he can't win his fitness challenge. That's all. I'm trying to get him here.
Either way, they brought phenomenal food last time, and so we're going to be working with them to feed people so we can get people out and kind of grow our Zone 5 Neighborhood Watch. The first Monday in November. Yes. November 1st. Oh, at Living Faith Church.
850 Derbyshire.
850 Derbyshire, Living Faith Church. So come on out and then go out and support the Flournoy family. So we're trying to feature a business or a new business or a business in Zone 5 at each Neighborhood Watch so people will know what is exactly in their community. Next thing is I forgot to ask CM today. I talked to you about that new subdivision, and it's actually townhouses, which I was under the impression that it was going to be homes. That's on Clyde Morris next to the new Dollar General. The way that they have drawn those lines for that fence, it's kind of like they have it crooked. It kind of goes here, then it goes this way, then it goes this way, because they didn't want to cut a straight line that goes back into that subdivision of Cedar Highlands. And so that's going to back to Cedar Highlands, and you're supposed to check on that, and I forgot to ask.
And Mr. Morris has it. He will work on it.
Okay.
I didn't forget.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing is that we had our second vaccination event this last week. We didn't have very many people come out, but we had some people to come out. And so it was still very, very good event for people to get their children vaccinated. And look forward to some more events like that. And that's all my comments for tonight.
Mr. Mayor, may I say one more thing? Commissioner Henry's comment regarding vaccinations, I'd like to thank the manager for that as well. We had a request from Project WIN, which Ida Wright is responsible for under the Department of Health, to be able to give vaccinations and shots during Biketoberfest, and it was allowed. They were on MMB, and they didn't have many, but they did get some vaccinations, and somebody got a booster shot, and they were there on Friday and Saturday for like 4 hours, and people were coming up and talking to the Department of Health and what have you. So thank you, Mr. Manager, for that as well.
And one other thing, in conjunction with what Commissioner May was speaking on with art galleries, I think it's wonderful that we have art galleries, but I don't want us to sleep on elementary students, high school students, and middle school students. They are phenomenal artists, and they have some phenomenal artists. And we featured some before in YSG. So it would be wonderful to bring some of them in as well and include them in anything that we do as far as encouraging art and art galleries.
That was our original concept. We wanted to go down that road. I'm not sure, but Mr. Manager said he would, deal with it, but originally that was what we were going for. I will also, hate to detract, but the code had a meeting this week on the beach side, and it was a well-run meeting. They did a very good job presenting information. The track-it system has been changed. They went over some basic rules and regulations that have changed. And if Captain Lee wants to take a moment for me, please. And very quickly, our stats have improved. Our close rates have improved tremendously, especially in the residential areas. Sir, just a second. Could you just tell us a little bit?
Sorry, I was transitioning from
That's
that
okay.
room to here.
Just tell us
Hear the
briefly,
question.
like in a minute or so, kind of what the improvements are with code and how well you're doing.
Okay, so first off, Scott Lee, I'm a police captain with the city of Daytona Beach. We did change in early part of August, we changed the way we categorize our cases and track it. The reason track it is our database that we use. It's part of that database is publicly facing. The reason why we updated that was so that we could better present the data to both the public and to the rest of you as well when you ask questions about what's going on in your zones and how are these cases being worked and what properties are they affecting. So we did make those adjustments. Staff has been entering that new information into the database. And the presentation she's referring to it was the first time we presented that data that way. So we were able to divide it up and show the code cases as it relates to whether they're being at residential properties, commercial properties, and then the types of violations that are occurring at those different properties. And it allows us to get a little more deeper dive into where our problems are and how we're addressing them, and then ultimately how the cases are ending, which is good because we're able to present things like 76% of all the property or all the cases that we have are ending in compliance. So that's a good message to send out to the public to say, hey, there are problems out there, but when we're communicating with people, they are actually fixing these issues and correcting these issues, and we want to keep that trend up. Did that answer the question? All right. Excellent.
Their staff doing a very good job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Henry and Zone 5 as it relates to the Flanoy's Restaurant. Phenomenal. I would say to the community that their fried chicken just very well might be the best in Daytona Beach. It's really, really that good. The second thing is that the turkey wings are Sunday ready. Sunday, so after you go to church, you can go there and have turkey wings. I have not had the grits because, and I had all of this before the Mayor's Fitness Challenge, by the way, sir. But I am on a hiatus from grits. But as soon as the Mayor's Fitness Challenge is over, maybe on Saturday, we weigh in next Tuesday. We weigh in next Tuesday, so the following Saturday, maybe I will go and indulge in the grits take the family for breakfast. But at any rate, it's a great restaurant. And Commissioner Reed, outstanding idea for the Education Summit. And it's perfectly in keeping with my queued correspondence to the superintendent as it relates to Daytona Beach and all education. It's a queued correspondence that I've been working on for quite a while, so I will still have the correspondence, set up a meeting, but one of the things I want to bring to bear on that, during that town hall, and I'll be certain to mention with the superintendent, hopefully we'll have a meeting before this town hall, but I want to talk about all of the things that we are doing and how we can do these things to partner with the school board, and because they're focusing on, as we know, those 4 schools that are suffering, and they all feed into Mainland, one to the other. But we have 9 schools, 10 in Daytona, 1 is under construction. But we have 9 schools, all 9 went down in their grade, and then, as I said before, all of the feeder schools. So we want to make sure that we find ways to comprehensively infuse our city's resources as well as our community's resources, as well as, we want to do things with reading. So I'm excited about that because we want to hear from them about what they're doing. We want to take what we're doing, and we want to figure out how we can communicate all of that to the community. So, that couldn't be a better idea nor better timing.
You'll be on the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Very excited about that.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I
good.
appreciate that.
Oh, yes, sir.
And that really, for tonight, is going to be all that I want to talk about with one final thing. The Mayor's Fitness Challenge concludes on Tuesday. The following Saturday, we will have our grand finale. Tuesday, we will weigh out, and we will then reconvene as we normally do in January. So one of the things that we have to remember is health and fitness go hand in hand with education and well-being. We have in the queue several grants that we're applying for. We'll make sure to mention those, and they relate to 32114. And we have to have a driving intensity in this community for all things improved in 32114. And that's why they're focused on those 4 schools, because they're all in that zip code. So with that in mind, thank you. Mr. Manager, have anything?
Yes, have just a couple of items. I did want to provide you all each with the communications team has been working on my first 100 days and what has been accomplished. And so we're going to provide that to the citizens electronically, as well as our SWOT analysis that they provided to you all. So I just wanted to show what was done. That was one of the things that we had discussed during the process, to have that 100 days. We're over 100 days I've been here, but the communications team was making sure that the information was factual. That's what they're paid for. So that's the information. And I did not know that they were putting that picture on there, but they put it on there. We have one of each one of you that will go on something soon for your newsletter, so don't laugh at mine. They will be made available to the citizens. We did get a glamour shot from one commissioner, so if you want to give us the picture you want, I would advise you to do that before we present something out. But another thing that took place is that I asked the Leisure Services Department to provide me with all of the activities that will be taking place over the next couple of weeks here. And when I'm going to provide this to you all to show the amount of work that's happening at our facilities. There's about 70 different things that are taking place from 10/23/21 through 11/4/21. That talks about all of the different activities and people renting facilities. That I was very shocked with the amount of work that they're doing. So I wanted to provide that to you all, and we'll be sending that out. One of the key things we want to talk about, before I got here, you all did a process of trying to do a disparity study and hiring a consultant. Well, I will tell you that the number to do that is astronomical. $299,806.25 is what the consultant wants to charge us to see if we're actually doing business with minorities, with women, our diversity numbers. I think that can be done through staff. It was at 320-some thousand. We got them down to 299,806.25. I don't think that's a good use of funds to determine what we're doing. We just need to be direct with how we look at working with minority businesses, women businesses, and our diversity numbers also with the city. But unless you all decide to tell me you want me to bring back a contract and find money to spend $300,000, I think that as a staff and as the new manager, I can focus on it with our team to figure out to make sure that we are not having issues and concerns. But I don't think taking $300,000 out of the general fund and giving it to a consultant who's going to have to call us to get all of our information is a prudent use of city funds.
Yep, I agree. I agree, but to that end, that still has to be a priority, so I think we should do an in-house report, and if you have questions, things that you want the manager to address in that, to compose the information and bring it back to us, then I would, during your secret meetings, ask you to be sure and share
Side meetings,
what you
not
want.
secret meetings.
Well, it's secret because they're just between you and us.
You know, the public.
That's what
John calls them. Also, I wanted to let you know that the permit and inspection fee waivers went live during this meeting, so people can get it online. You have the flyers. We'll be making the flyers available. Also, Commissioner Cantu is coming as a commissioner to the trunk or treat on October 31st, so she's going to be dressed up as a commissioner. If you all want to dress up, you can dress up also. City walking tours are going to be great, and we are going to go by the small home. And we're also going to go, I found where Ann Ruby's house is located. We're going to go by there with 30 people in trumpets. Also, Brown & Brown has decided to be our presenting sponsor for the Christmas parade. So our Christmas parade that will happen Saturday, December 11th. So it's some great information in the documents. We continue to try to provide information for the citizens, but that concludes my report. So have a great evening. And as you all said, I found out about breast cancer in men because my uncle passed away from breast cancer. So it is something that men don't do. And it was instant. So it wasn't like he had years to live because as a man, he was not checking. So when he found out because of getting sick, he passed away of breast cancer. So it is something that I know about very close.
Mr. Mayor, before you hit the gavel, let me just go ahead and say this. You know, I have every intention and had every intention of winning the Mayor's Challenge. But you know, this fall thing with my birthday, I have been eating every day. I still got some birthday meals that are coming to me. And I'm trying to get back on track before Tuesday. I put some meals on hold. I was like, look, I got to eat after Tuesday. I can't eat anymore. Leave me alone. So if I don't win the first or the second prize, hopefully I'll get the third. Let the record show.
You have another chance starting in January.
And that's the best time for me. Yes. This fall thing doesn't work.
That's funny. Okay, we will now hear from our residents.
Okay, our first speaker tonight under item number 12 is Malcolm Williams, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to give some quick comments. One was about, and I do apologize, I'm late to the party on this particular project, on the Mason Nova Park project. One of the things that I've heard today in this meeting, and what I wanted to ask is that park going to be city park or a private park? And what are they going to put into that park if they're trying to put that park, because that school is right there? And so I don't want to, on the Mason Nova project that you got, I don't know what number to. On the thing, it says park.
Commerce Park.
Part of the name. It's like a business.
So it's not land.
No.
Well, then that makes sense to me then. Second thing is, especially with Commissioner Reed, today I had the great pleasure of going to the School Advisory Council for Palm Terrace Elementary, and there's some great opportunities there that they're actually looking at to see how this, I said Palm Terrace? Yes, I did. That Palm Terrace Elementary, I said Cherokee earlier, and there's some great opportunities that the school, that's our zone. I know, y'all is wasting my time. But there are some great opportunities there. One of the things that the teachers actually brought up today was some recognition for teachers of teacher of the quarter, how the city can put some recognition in there. Some of the teachers are doing triple-double duty on their own account. And if there's some type of shape, form, or fashion that we, as the city, can get involved to highlight them, I think that's going to be a great addition to the morale. One of the things I want to thank the city in Cedar Highlands, when we talk about beautification, the illegal dumping that we had out there at our dead end, I had a couple of conversations with the Waste Management Department, and it took about a week or so, and they actually got it done. I publicly want to thank them for that, and we're looking at how we can erase our illegal dumping, especially in our neighborhood. we were talking about the Highlands part, the Highlands residential area, and I still want to say Cedar Highlands still exists, and we still want to get some beautification out there. So I'm going to take a cue from their book. I'm going to bring every Cedar Highland residence I can next week so we can talk about how we can make that great entrance beautiful. Last thing I just want to say is Pandemic Win was actually a great help to us with our vaccine event. And if some shape, form, or fashion, we can highlight those great students for all the work they were doing, especially with our vaccines, I think that's something to consider. Other than that, thank you. I'm out.
One of the things that you can do as it relates, you mentioned teacher of the quarter.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that you can do as a commissioner is that if you had gift card, I've got some ideas for gift cards that I had left over from vaccine events. You can support teacher of the quarter, perhaps through that. I'm going to do something as it relates to teachers who attend every day, who attended didn't miss any days the first 9 weeks, working in the school. I know the problem with having the teachers there every day. If you don't have them there every day, the school almost literally, it's in every district, it's having a challenge because you can't get subs. And if your teachers are out, the education level is plummeting in the classroom because then you have to merge your classes, and this is all across the district. So one of the things I think you could do is reinforce regular attendance by the teachers and reinforce the idea of teachers' quarter.
Well, as a community partner, whatever we can do, we're here to help.
Okay, our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. At the meeting last night of Code, there were 6 of these out. There are 2 walks on November 4th in 5 different areas, and there are 4 walks on the 10th in a half dozen areas. So they all start at the same time, and they all end at the same time. So
It's not 2 walks or 4 walks on the same day, they're 1 walk.
yeah, but it appears at 9 o'clock you have to be at Main Street and ISB and Atlantic and Seabreeze all at the same time. So it doesn't, no, what I'm saying is you don't differentiate. There's got to be at least some starting point somewhere for that 1 walk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So,
There will be signs out throughout the communities.
so that we know where to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got you.
All right. But this is very disconcerting when you looked at it. Secondly, at the meeting last night, I talked to the new owner of the plaza, and there was a problem with a homeless camp right next to his property. Maybe 10, 15 homeless people living in tents and whatnot right next to the parking garage and the staging area that they used to build the Russian hotel. There was still discrepancy on who owned what property. It's still trashed beyond belief. Code got the staging area all cleaned up. The parking garage is cleaned up. The area around the pizza joint is cleaned up, but there's this little 15 by 30 foot piece of property that is still trashed, and the homeless are still living there. So we took a walk through it, and I told him who owned it, and he'll talk to the Russians, and it'll get cleaned up. But that area, the house next to me just sold for $650,000. The one behind me sold for $575,000. So the property values are going up. There are hotels, the Hard Rock, the Marriott Regency, the Plaza, and then the Hilton is going to be putting money in. That is going up. So I'm asking the city, and I understand, and that's my pet peeve, you spent almost $100 million on one side of the river. You've spent less than $1 million on our side of the river. The development is going on. I'm asking that money be spent on the beach side in the area where this development is going in, because it will bring in tremendous amount of taxes, Mayor, that you can spend elsewhere, which you've always done. So you've always taken the money from beachside and spent it. So if you want us to continue to have the money so that you can spend it where you want to spend it, we need a little extra tender loving care on our side. Thank you.
sir. Our next speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is Marjorie Johnson.
Good evening, Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge. And to sum up John's remarks, the beach side needs some love too. And I enjoy living on that side. I am in Zone 1. And Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you. I too live in a historic neighborhood who was built at the same time as the Highlands. And when I was doing research of the neighborhood, it was a pleasure to see the competition between the two neighborhoods as they were being developed, both of which were outside the city limits. I want to thank you for your comments on that. It was very meaningful. And I want to thank all the other commissioners who supported that. Without a doubt, as Commissioner Reed stated, coming up International Speedway, there's one zone where you're welcomed really into Daytona. Once you get past all that commercial with the malls and the Speedway, you then hit that stretch where Tarragona is. There's a different flavor there. And I want to thank all of you for saying what you did about that. That was heartwarming, because I definitely see that when you're sitting in that traffic, that's the only mellow part of the highway. So, I also want to request the mayor, I was a little disappointed you didn't say anything about it, talking about the love for our zone as well. I know you took the time out, and I really appreciate it, to come down and see how meaningful some of these public lands are. And I was hoping you would give us an update on how soon we can fix that problem down there in Bridgeport Heights. So we're still anxiously waiting to hear about that one. Okay, it's the one I've been talking about for the past year. So I know you know about it. And again, as I stated previously, I would like to see some activity in Lenox Avenue. And I love the park over there. It is outside of the 10-minute walk, but I do go to the Lenox, especially the dog park. There's some fix-up that needs to be done. I'll try to get with staff on that, but I love that park area. But the Lenox River access will be another area that the city could really shine on and really make it the beachside a beautiful community. The other subject I've talked about, I won't say ad nauseum, but quite a bit, has been about the adoption of standardized walking crosswalks in Daytona Beach. And as I pointed out, and Commissioner Cantu is well aware of it, the Hawk type system that's right there between Mainland High School and Daytona College is an example of one that works. However, it could be improved. And I really, really would like to see a workshop, and I'd like to sit down with you and talk about some of the technological advances that would enhance that, and some of the things that are being done wrong. So again, I look forward to that. Lastly, when are we going to have the Citizens Academy start up? We need. Thank you.
Those things cost $1 million a piece. Well, I'll talk to you.
Okay.
We just need standardization. That's all we need.
We were lucky to get the one on ISB.
Very
That took a long time.
Yeah, okay.
Ms. Johnson.
Marjorie Johnson, 122 South Beach. I'm here tonight to commend the city manager for these cards. He's the first to have his cards out there, and I went out there and found them. And we never had the city manager's cards out there and the card holders. Outstanding job. Okay, I came to the meeting tonight to say that right in front of my house there are some speed bumps, and I like to have them removed. They're throwing trash out there constantly, and they're still speeding through there. I don't want those speed bumps there anymore, because it's not helping, it's hurting, because we have senior citizens and they can't go out there and pick up all that trash that the people, and they're not going 10 miles an hour. I went to the meeting that they had over there with Stephen Miller, and the police chief was there, and I told him about it. He said David Waller is supposed to do that. They need to get them out from there. They're putting the trash out there. I live right behind the Craft Stop. I've been in my home for 53 years there, homeowner. So I need those speed bumps moved. They're still speeding, and in addition, there's trash out there now. So also, I would like to see that in my area, more of those roads paved over there because they're looking out for Highlands, but they're doing nothing for us over there in Zone 6. I went down several streets, there, Live Oak, which is one that she used to live on. There's trash all out in the yard. The streets is in bad need of repair. Go down Wally Street, same thing. There's prostitutes living across from Tijuana and her mother that's 96 years old, and there's trash. And then they have another senior citizen living there. She's been there for years, she's a school teacher. And she's complaining about all the trash. There was trash out there that had been tagged. It's been sitting out there 2 months. Nobody's moved it. This is on Wally Street. That road is in dire need of paving. The other roads that need to be paved, and I rode through Zone 6, and I wish they would go over there and ride through it, the one that's getting paid to do the job. They got all those streets down there, Shady Place. Live Oak is in deplorable conditions. That street, and there's trash out in the yards that's been sitting out there 6 months. You go on Vernon Street, there's a yard on there that's 7 feet tall that haven't been cut in 9 months. On my street, the same yard I told you about before, that's next to Tim, it's up high again, 9 feet tall. You need to check these places out. Service is the price you pay for the space you occupy. Occupy space and produce. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Sharice Boyd, and on deck is Stephen Miller. Oh, she did. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Hello, Sharice Boyd, Daytona Beach. I'm just coming to discuss a few things. Specifically, one, I know everybody got some money, and one thing I would like to suggest that the commissioners think about with the money, especially the extra money, especially if you don't spend that $300, is that we do something for law enforcement, like a law enforcement appreciation day or something. The staff is short. They've been through a lot with the loss of Officer Rayner, and just being short-staffed in general, working hard. We know we're not paying them much, but they're not leaving. They're just not walking out on us. So I think we do need to send some form of appreciation out publicly where the people can come. I know they had something during the time when Officer Rayner was in the hospital, but I think before the end of the year or with new fiscal money, that's something we should consider. Another thing is, although they don't have the up-to-date one, I just want to say something. We're talking about the jobs here and education, and I know you all are pushing for that. Right now, in Volusia County, the average house price is about $205,000. Obviously, over here, it's a little less. Buyer's market, right? I mean, a seller's market. So, of course, the houses are going up a little higher. But real quick, in our area, although Volusia County is proud to say that over 25 and older, we do have more than the average in the state that have high school diplomas or GEDs. What's not indicative in that number is that in this county, we have a lot of retired people. So yes, people are coming here from other places. The number that we're not looking at is the age 17 to 25 that went to school here, grew up here, and have high school diplomas. You're in the education system, you know we are failing as a county with our school system. What I want to say to us is that the jobs that we bring here, it says, if you look at it, that making, this is crazy, in manufacturing, they make about $55,000 a year across the state. That's the average. Here, our average is less than $30,000 a year, but the number one business for us predominantly is what? Hospitality, but it's second from the bottom in jobs. We have a hospitality college. I think y'all need to work with Daytona State College and figure out a way where we can get more jobs in hospitality. Maybe the people who are working the lower end jobs move up in management. I mean, it's indicative, the numbers aren't lying. After that, I would like to say on October 30th, I've invited you all out to the Domestic Violence Awareness Conference that we're having in DeLand. It is for the entire county, so it's not just DeLand or the west side, and I hope that you all come or at least get back. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the school bus safety. School has started, and I've noticed people are just ignorant and stupid. They go to the schools to pick up their children, they block the crosswalk. that's not enough of a problem that you're blocking a crosswalk when the children come because there's a minivan, the school bus or a minivan's there, the child on a bike that's walking like they're supposed to through it can't walk. So I don't know what we need to do in addition to them running school bus signs. Yeah.
Just say something in regards to that, because that's a big issue. And I was wondering, I don't know if you're getting any other complaints at the schools, but I know at my elementary schools, it is a very big deal with speeding through where the crossing guard is trying to get the children through. And not only the speeding, our crossing guard kind of blocked it off so that they could to force them left, and they're ignoring that and they're going straight through. So I was just wondering if there's a way we could get some more policing in the morning times at those elementary schools. I know Chief said he would do West Side, but I'd like to see some more at Palm Terrace as well.
The deputy chief is nodding that they'll probably do some special patrols just to
Once you
people
start
on
going out there, they get on notice, it does change them.
Yeah.
Okay. And our final speaker tonight is Mr. Steve Miller.
Great. Thank you very much. Steve Miller, 383 Walnut Street, beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. Wow. You're a rock star. You got your own cars, city manager. You know what? We've been averaging about 50 plus people to our neighborhood watch meeting, and I'm really excited that so many citizens are getting involved in our community. And thank you, Commissioner Reed, for your meeting there. But you know what, City Manager, I remember you saying that one day you would love to come out to the community. On behalf of our distinguished Paula Reed, Commissioner from Zone 6, we would love to invite the commission to come to the Midtown Redevelopment Center so that y'all can do a meeting in the neighborhood. We would really love to see you all do that. And we got November or December. We don't care which month you choose. We'd love to see you there, sir. And I don't care if we get a motion and a second for that.
Are you saying for everybody to come?
No, for the city commission to come. We want you all to come to the people who elect you all. You understand? You've never been to our neighborhood, and we'd love to see you there. And by the way, we're happy to have a city manager that know how to get to the neighborhood. Do I get a second? Can I get a motion, a second for that?
No, I don't. You want us to have our regularly scheduled community
Yes,
meeting
come to the community, to the people.
inside of the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
I don't really oppose that sort of thing, but I don't know what the logistics would be like. It's not an easy thing.
We can do it at the
I would
Midtown
like you
Center.
all to consider the possibility and then share it with us, but I don't really foresee that happening based on the logistics. We got to be on the TV for folks, but you all tell us. You got to go and look at it because, you know, I think going where people are does say something about it, but the reality is we ain't that far from Midtown.
But you're not in Midtown. Hey, listen, if we don't get the taxes, if we can't get the taxes, if we can't get the redevelopment taxes, you're not in Midtown. Midtown is over there. Thank you.
I didn't say we weren't.
You're not far. You're right, Mr. Mayor.
We're not far.
Can I get about 35 more minutes?
Give me this other minute.
Thank you.
Because I don't like talking when you're talking, but I'm just going to finish with this on this point.
All right.
I think any of us will go wherever the people are. At least I know I will. So if the people are someplace you want me to be, I'll show up. Give him his 30 more seconds or whatever else he needs.
And number two, we're really excited about November the 4th when our city manager is going to come and walk our neighborhood. Yeah. We have never in the history of Daytona Beach had our city manager come walk the neighborhoods. And I'll be grateful that you're starting in the neighborhood, one of the oldest neighborhoods in the city of Daytona Beach. So we're looking forward and having you there. The folks are very, very excited about that. Thank you very much for doing that.
And based on John Nicholson's comments, we're going to make sure you know where we're going to be at what time.
Absolutely. I give that information to you, John, okay? And by the way, while I'm here, I still like to see that the seats are given to Marjorie Johnson and to our dear friend John, because they are very outstanding citizens of our community. And I say this all the time. And by the way, I'm so grateful to be a member of the city of Daytona Beach. This is truly the most distinguished city commission I've seen in a long time. And I'm looking forward in having Zone 2 covered in the very, very near future. In fact, in a couple of more weeks. And I think that we will have somebody sitting in that particular seat. But again, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, we appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your.
And may I tell Mr. Miller, did you see this flyer, Mr. Miller, I was holding up? Effective tonight, the city manager said the fees are going to be waived, what you've been calling about?
What date is that?
Effective today.
Today.
Went live today.
But they're not all the fees, so make sure you read it.
Just
Don't go on.
inspection, just permits and inspection.
I didn't think that you were going to allow us to build a home and then waive the impact fees, but I thought permits.
Facilities. No. Okay. It is a great day to be a resident of Daytona Beach and a citizen of the United States. Good night.